Yeah, it's a Wednesday edition of Mr. Relevant. Alex Strouf with you from the Everlight Solar Studio, downtown Madison at the ESPN Madison office. It's going to be with you on this midweek day, hump day, as the kids say. I've got a lot on my mind today. I know I said that on Monday, and I proved that on Monday, right? Like, we went on a 40-minute soliloquy about the Packers, their win over the Cowboys, obviously a little bit of a preview of the San Francisco 49ers, and I didn't really have notes on Monday. I tried to write notes. I didn't write notes, and we just did kind of a stream of consciousness. Now, today I did write notes, and I have a lot of thoughts on Packers San Francisco. I have a lot of thoughts on the remaining field in the NFC. I heard Joey Bosa said some things about Jordan Love that I want to react to, and we'll do all that. But this has been a really weird day already. So let me just run you through what I've experienced in the last 10 or so hours, as it's 12:30 Central here in Madison. So I had to stay up really late for a work thing. I was at home, which was nice, but I had to do some work overnight. So I was up until, probably about 2 o'clock, and finally put the head on the pillow about 2 a.m. last night. About 3 o'clock last night, 3 a.m., I hear a beeping sound. Beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, oh no. Did I not blow out a candle? I made noodles last night really late, like as a late night snack. I made some chicken flavored noodles at 2 a.m. or maybe a little bit before that. I was like, oh no, maybe I didn't turn the burner off. Did I start my apartment on fire? What's going on? So I wake up, I survey the area, I realize it's not my apartment that's beeping. I moved last month, as I mentioned on the show. And so I'm still kind of getting acclimated to the surroundings and the neighbors and whatnot. The upstairs neighbor really loud. And the upstairs neighbor must have set something on fire at 3 in the morning. And the fire alarm went off for 15 minutes straight. And I got to a point where I was like, I had shorts on. And admittedly, I don't sleep in a lot of clothes. I was wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt, no socks. And I was like, uh-oh, do I have to put real clothes on and evacuate the frickin' building? So that happened. So I didn't sleep much last night. So I came in later today. Came in about 11 o'clock. Did some work from home. And when I got in at 11 o'clock, stuff just started hitting the fan. Arguments started bursting out in the office between some people that we'll leave unnamed at this point. And then as we're setting up for the show, producer Tiny Hands, Hunter Vaughn, is back. Hi, Hunter. Good to see you. We'll talk Cowboys in a second. Talk about your reaction video we played on Monday in a second. Ryan Wollersheim, who produced the show on Monday, producer of Rutledge and Hamilton on ESPN Madison, walks into the room you're in. And, we start talking about a local pizza chain. I think he has a mustache right now. I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know if he's doing the Matt Hamilton wannabe thing.
He thinks it makes him tough.
Yeah, which he's not.
No.
And anyway, I made a reference to a local pizza chain that has a mascot that has a solid mustache. And I told him he looks like a crappy nephew of him. And he's like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, wait a minute, you've never heard of this pizza chain? He goes, no, I don't eat crappy pizza. And I hate that opinion. I hate when people give you an opinion of something and they're like, yeah, I don't like it. But they've never tried it, right? The line, don't knock it till you try it. Ryan Wollersheim just ignores that. Because this pizza chain I really like. It's a very good pizza chain. I think they have amazing Italian sausage they put on their pizza. They're giant, and I love them. And he's like, no, I don't eat crappy pizza. I only eat frozen pizza. Wait a minute. So you're telling me you don't order from the several solid, very good local pizza chains we have in the Madison area? No, I just eat frozen pizza. I don't eat crappy pizza. Which is just a crazy take, right, Hunter? Frozen pizza is the epitome of crappy pizza.
Yeah, frozen pizza is the bottom of the list for everything.
Right.
So
don't get me wrong.
It's just weird.
There is good frozen pizza. But to compare it to a fresh pizza, I think those are two different ballparks, right? Frozen pizzas are convenient, and there are very good ones. Don't get me wrong. Palermo's, I love Palermo's. I think they are the best frozen pizza in the business. But I eat Palermo's pizza often. But there's fresh pizza that I also love, right? And that's just they're different. They're just different avenues of pizza. And so to compare a frozen pizza to a fresh pizza, I just don't think you can do that. So anyway, that bothered me right before we went live today. What else bothered me? We had a little bit of a guest hiccup which we'll fix in the next week. So Jesse Nelson going to join us today. Looking forward to that. And we'll talk a little Packers. We'll talk a little 49ers. He made we do videos for social media, obviously. That's part of my job. And Maddie Hayes, who we've had on the show a few times, she runs all of our social media across ESPN Madison, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And we do a weekly feature called Who Won the Weekend with our friends at Ho Chunk Gaming Madison. And the question we came up with this week was who is the best NFC quarterback that won this weekend? So your options, of course, are Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, and Jordan Love. And Jesse picked Baker Mayfield, meaning he views him as a better quarterback than Jordan Love. And Baker had an incredible game, and it's an incredible story. And if you've been listening to the show since we started it, you may remember way back in week 4, after week 4 of the NFL season, I did a random segment. Hunter, you'll remember this. I did a random segment of like, hey, I have some random NFL takes for you. And one of my takes in week 4 was we need to give Baker Mayfield his flowers. He's a good quarterback. He is a good quarterback. But Jordan Love is on the precipice of like legitimately graduating to an elite quarterback. He's playing and has played at an elite level for several weeks in a row. And I know the sample size is small, but you didn't need to see what we've seen now, 18 games of Jordan Love. You didn't need to see 18 games of Patrick Mahomes to know he was it. Right? It was like 4 games of Patrick Mahomes in his first season as a starter. I think that was 2018, where you viewed him and it was just like, wow, this dude's incredible. And Jordan Love certainly started the season roller coastery, right? Like had a couple really good games, obviously played really well against the Bears in week 1, played really solid for the first 3 quarters of the Falcons game, had a rough game against the Saints, but led the largest fourth quarter comeback in Packers history in the fourth quarter, scored 18 points in the fourth quarter, played really well there. And then it was kind of downhill. It was a bad October, but then November, December, and now into January, it's the 17th of January, halfway through the month, Jordan Love's been terrific, right? So he's on the precipice of being a great quarterback and a franchise quarterback and a long-term starter in the league. One of my favorite podcasts I listen to is the Adam Schefter podcast. With, of course, everybody knows who Adam Schefter is, the NFL insider for ESPN. And he was talking with Daniel Dopp yesterday on his show about C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. And Schefter said something that I just loved. And he's like, look, we know Patrick Mahomes is the future. We know Joe Burrow is the future. We know Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are a part of that group. But the other 2 names that now need to be considered as the future when it comes to the face of quarterbacks in the NFL are Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud. That's how good they are. And when one of the greatest football minds in the country, and Adam Schefter, says, yeah, these 2 guys are the future of football, I put some stock into that, right? Like, obviously, I have a local bias. I'm a Packers fan, and I probably overreact a little bit. Surprise.
A lot of it.
Surprise. To what Jordan Love's been able to do. But to get the validation of a guy like Adam Schefter being like, yeah, he's the face of the league. Like, he has a potential to be one of the faces of the league for the next 10 years. That gets me pretty jacked up. And the way he played against Dallas on Sunday should get you jacked up. And the way he's played the last 10, 12 weeks should get you jacked up, because it is proof in the pudding that Jordan Love is capable of being an incredibly high-level NFL starter, which is just absurd to me still, that the Packers have gone from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love with really not a lot of, if any, hiccups in the way, right? Like, yeah, the Packers had a really crappy October this year, but guess what? They're one of the last 8 teams remaining in the NFL playoffs. We go from October, where I was looking at NFL mock drafts where I thought they might have a top 5 pick, to now January 17th, if you look at a mock draft, the earliest the Packers are picking, 25th overall. That's absurd to me. That's absurd to me. How quickly things can change and how quickly Jordan Love has figured it out. All right, let's dive into the actual rundown now. That was a 10-minute soliloquy that I didn't even have planned. Hunter Vaughn is back.
I am.
We heard from you on Monday.
Yes, from my car while I was in the 3rd ward. Yeah,
in Milwaukee. And we just kind of broke down your take on the Packers-Cowboys game. You're, of course, a Cowboys fan. You had a couple of doozies in there, and I would just like to bring them up now and have you give your updated take 48 hours later. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think the first one here, I'll just get out in kind of front of it, was the Dan Quinn take, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, so let's just rehash for anybody that may have missed it. And if you missed it, the pretty much we have it cut, right? We have the 9-minute segment of me reacting to Hunter cut. It's on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel, one of our latest uploads. It is. I think it's titled "Packers Fan versus Cowboys Fan" or something like that. It is brilliant. Like it is. I ended that segment pretty much saying, we all just witnessed history together because Hunter was in such a state, and you got after me for calling you a doomsday fan during the game on Sunday. You proved it on Monday with that take. So Dan Quinn, what you said about Dan Quinn was he was distracted because he was interviewing for jobs during the week, so he didn't have a game plan ready for the Cowboys defense. And then you made the qualifier, and if he did have a game plan for this team, he doesn't deserve a job either as a head coach or as the Cowboys defensive coordinator. Do you stand by that?
I stand by that because that's how bad they played.
Okay.
But I was trying to process it more during the week, and I remembered a communication theory it is about why people believe in conspiracy theories, and I thought it applied to my take on Dan Quinn. Okay, so
where is this going?
Just stick with me.
All right, I'm buckled in.
So the reason that most people believe in conspiracy theories is because there is something like the flat earther. They can't wrap their head around the idea of the earth being this large enough body to have its own gravitational pull, and then that's why water stays on the planet. So they think to control that, they say that the earth is flat, and then they dive into this rabbit hole of trying to confirm that. So
okay.
So I was so blown away by how bad the Cowboys defense was that I couldn't come up with a rational explanation for the play on the field that I had to resort to. He was clearly interviewing for other jobs. He wasn't focused on the game at hand because it was that bad of play that I just couldn't process it.
Hold on. I love you dearly. I have no idea how those two things connect. I don't know how you went from flat earthers to Dan Quinn interviewing for others.
Because people can't process what is actually happening in the world, and I couldn't process how bad that team was.
Brother, I can't process what the hell's going on right now. I just wanted to know if you stand by the fact Dan Quinn doesn't deserve to be the Cowboys DC.
Yes, but I'm going to stand by my take in that I couldn't comprehend the terrible play.
Mike McCarthy still hasn't been fired. Will he get fired?
I'm softening on that.
Okay.
Only, and my reason being, there is with Dak having 1 year left on his contract.
You could clean house at the same time.
Yeah, so why not just ride it out? Unless you can convince Dak to waive his no trade clause and send him to Atlanta. Because if
Billy B.
He wants a quarterback, go get Dak. They'll send a couple of picks to Dallas and hope that Trey Lance is legit.
Okay, interesting. What was the other one? You said you don't know if you can take it anymore as a Cowboys fan?
Yeah.
You're still a Cowboys fan.
I am. But this is, again, I need to defend myself on this because the YouTube video especially, fans were getting after me in the comment section
of it.
Time. Yeah, and the thing that Packer fans need to understand, so I am going to be 32 years old on Friday.
Okay.
I started being a Cowboys fan probably about the 95 season-ish. So I got one Super Bowl where I'm like 3 years old. And then it was crap football, Tony Romo fumble, first 1 seed to lose in the divisional round, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, not making the playoffs because they lose in week 17. Dez caught it, Jared Cook toe tap, San Francisco 49ers back-to-back years, and then that horrendous pile of crap of a team on Sunday.
Okay. So you didn't answer the question.
So
Are you still a Cowboys fan?
Yes, I'm still a Cowboys fan, but people need to understand that losing what have the Packers lost? 6 NFC championship games?
A lot, yeah.
That's far and away better than anything the Cowboys have done in the last.
Been one since '95.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the third longest streak in the NFC, only beat by Detroit and Washington, and Detroit's 6.5-point favorites on Sunday.
Yeah,
to get back to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1992 or 1991. So. Yeah. So
the level of terrible that I've had to deal with from the Cowboys, it's far worse than anything the Packers have had in the last 30 years. So to sit here and act like, oh, I'm not really a fan because I'm not sticking it out through the tough times, this is the most horrendous of tough times for any semi-competitive team in all of sports.
All right. Well, those were the 3 big ones. So I hope you're doing okay mentally.
I mean, not
You're
now,
not, obviously. But
because Packer fans are so annoying.
what the hell did I do?
It's this idea of, oh, you can't stick it out. You're not really a fan. If you're contemplating whether or not you should be a fan.
I would never do this to the Packers. I would never have that take when it comes to the Packers. The
Give
Packers
it 30 years of not getting to an NFC championship game and then actually try and make a judgment of my fandom. That's my point. Right here is my point.
But
you
Hunter,
can't take 30 years. Like, you
yes,
haven't
you
experienced what this is actually like.
No, I haven't.
And then to try and, like, make a judgment about the type of fan I am is absolutely insane to me.
I'm not just quitting my fan base, though, right? Like, I'm a ride or die, right? In the middle of October, I wasn't saying, hey, man, I don't know.
But you haven't had to be a ride or die through this. That's my point. And you won't even address it, so I know I'm right.
Okay.
The fact that you can't even address it tells me I'm right.
We're done talking Cowboys. They're on the couch. They're on the couch. The teams that aren't on the couch are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, and the Green Bay Packers. Now, if you're watching us on the video stream, you see that I listed them in a specific order. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Detroit. I listed them in those orders. Hunter, speaking of devastation, do you know why I listed the teams in the order I did? Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Detroit. Are you aware why I listed them in that order?
I'm not.
Those are the teams that have ended the Packers season the last 3 years.
Oh, look at that.
And those are the remaining teams in the NFC. Detroit beat the Packers last year, obviously, in Week 18, the win in your in game, which the Packers lost. The year prior was that awful special teams blunder at Lambeau Field that I attended against the San Francisco 49ers. Robbie Gould walk-off field goal in 2021. And the year before that was the NFC Championship game against Tom Brady, which the Packers really should have won against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Those are the last three teams to eliminate the Packers from playoff contention. And those are the three teams remaining in the NFC playoffs. So what does that tell you about the Packers? They're on a revenge tour. They're on the FU tour of 2024. The Green Bay Packers have the ultimate opportunity to say, hey, man, look at this guy we got all of a sudden. Jay Love? Yeah, he ain't losing to Tampa Bay. He ain't losing to San Francisco. He ain't losing to Detroit. These are teams that the last couple of years have ended the Packers season when you have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So Jordan Love actually has a really neat opportunity here. And obviously he won't see all three of these teams. He could see obviously a maximum of two of them. And he will see San Francisco this weekend. And he could see Detroit next year, which is just kind of poetic. You know, it's really funny that's how that shook out, that these are the last three teams aside from the Packers remaining in the NFC. And there's history here with all three, recent history here with all three of them. So whoever the Packers draw, if they do beat the 49ers, and by the way, that line has dropped to 8 points. It was a 10-point San Francisco. They were favored by 10 points when the line opened. It's down to 8. So either that means A, which is the more likely option. People are hammering Packers plus 10. Or B, there's been a change of heart in Vegas of some sort. And maybe two things can be true there. But anyway, so those three teams are really interesting. Now, as we're talking betting lines, we got to talk about the term house money, which continues to pop up. And I know we addressed it a little bit Monday. We addressed it a lot last week. I hate that term. It's not my favorite because it's no longer house money when you're in the playoffs. You're in. You made it. Everybody's 0-0 still again this week, despite everybody winning last week. You're 0-0. You got to go on the road to San Francisco. You got to play the 49ers. If you beat them, you're in the NFC Championship game. It's as simple as that. Now, is it a nice story regardless of the result? Like we said last week, yes, it's a nice story for a team that was 2-5, trading their maybe third or fourth best defensive player at the deadline and winning 7 of their last 10 regular season games to get into the playoffs. It's a great story. To find out Jordan Love is not only a good quarterback but potentially a great quarterback is a great story. But this ain't about house money anymore. You're here. This is the reality. The expectations are no longer, hey, man, if you lose by 27 points on Saturday, you know, it's okay. It's fine. No big deal. You want to win. You're here. The players in the locker room aren't thinking, oh, man, this has been a fun ride. It's cool if it ends on Saturday. Hell no. They're thinking, we watched Baltimore kick the crap out of San Francisco on Christmas Day. How do we replicate that? What did Baltimore expose against San Francisco, who's been one of the most consistent teams in the league this year, that we can double down on and expose? How can we utilize our run game and our pass game and defensively? How can we slow down Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey? And look, I'm not sold on Joe Barry. I'm not sold on the Packers defense, But I am sold on the fact that when teams get hot at the right time, it can work in their favor. We saw it in 2010 with the Packers. We've seen it in years prior with other teams. This is your path, right? Like another term in sports I don't love, but it's very true, is you control your own destiny. And that's more true than house money at this point. Because house money is more like, they got the underdog mentality. Nobody believes in them, which may be true. But after what you saw on Sunday, how can't you at least a little bit believe in the Packers to cover a 10, now 8-point spread? This is a team that's hot. There's only two other teams in the NFL right now that I would view as hot or more hot than the Green Bay Packers. The one I would view more hot is the Buffalo Bills. I think they're smoking hot. And I think they got a good shot to face Baltimore in the AFC Championship game. It would be a really fun game. Houston's another team, though, that figured it out earlier than anticipated. It was a team that was viewed that might win 3, 4, or 5 games with the first-year starter and C.J. Stroud and a first-year head coach in D'Amico Ryans. And here they are as one of the last 8 teams standing. So Houston, Buffalo, and Green Bay are 3 teams that are hot here. And I wouldn't be shocked if 2 of them, if not 3 of them, win this weekend. All 3 of them. Now, Houston has a tough challenge against Baltimore. I think they're by far the best team in the league. And Green Bay obviously is a tough test on the road at San Francisco. But San Francisco came to Green Bay when it was disgusting out a few years ago and found a way to beat a really good team. So I'm not ruling anything out this weekend. Anything can happen. I'm fired up about the Packers' opportunity on Saturday night. Which Bosa? Nick Bosa is the 49er? Joey Bosa is the Charger? Or do I have that backwards? I always screw them up.
I think that's right.
Nick Bosa is the 49er.
Yeah.
The 2 redneck, country boys that are just strange. Meatheads, like whatever phrase you want to use to describe them, it's accurate. Joey Bosa, no, Nick Bosa, check that. Nick Bosa for the 49ers talked about Jordan Love and the Packers offense. And he mentioned Aaron Rodgers when he spoke with the media yesterday. Really interesting. We're going to hear from Nick Bosa right now, this courtesy of KNBR on Twitter, the radio station out in the Bay Area. They caught Nick Bosa saying this about Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers offense.
What Kyle talks about is the whole team has improved throughout the entire season. They've gotten a lot of guys healthy, and they have a lot of the same guys from the past really good teams they've had. And
so monotone.
A quarterback who does exactly what he's coached to do, which Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer and unbelievable, but he kind of went outside of the realm of coaching, and sometimes it's good when you have a guy who does what he's coached to do.
So it's really interesting coming from a San Francisco 49er because this is the same offense, right? The 49ers and the Packers, similar offensives. Kyle Shanahan tree, obviously Matt LaFleur, one of his disciples and one of his great friends and a guy that came up under Shanahan. So this is a guy that knows the offense he's playing very well. And same with the Packers, right? Like they know the offense they're going up against on Saturday night. So to hear him view Jordan Love as maybe a harder option to face because he's listening to the coaching, right? We've seen how successful the 49ers have been with mediocre or just good quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo. They got to Super Bowls with those guys. And they have another chance this year, really good chance this year, to get back to a Super Bowl with a guy like Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant, no pun intended, in the NFL draft. So to hear that, and for him to almost knock Aaron Rodgers for going off script and thinking he was better than maybe what Matt LaFleur is calling in, and for him to compliment Jordan Love's ability to stick to the playbook and stick to what's called and stick to Matt LaFleur's guts is really intriguing. And that actually makes me feel better about the Packers offense. Like it almost sounded like Bosa was a little nervous to see a smoking gun like Jordan Love right now. Super fascinating to me. So that's that. That's Nick Bosa. That's the 49ers. That's the Packers matchup. That's my take on house money. That's Tiny Hand's take on the Dallas Cowboys, the doomsday fan he is.
I'm still upset with you about you're judging my fandom.
Lack thereof, actually.
Lack thereof, I've stuck it out for 30 years. Yeah, the Monday after an embarrassing loss like that, I'm going to start questioning things a little bit, and I'm going to question this
But now
team.
it's the Wednesday after, and you're sticking by it.
I'm sticking by my mentality. I'm sticking with this team.
Interesting. All right, let's go to break. Coming up next, Jesse Nelson joins us. He's the producer of Wilde and Tausch on ESPN Wisconsin. He's going to join us. We're just going to chit-chat a little bit about the Packers. It's coming up next. But first, got to tell you about Green Bay Game Day coming up on Saturday. I got to get used to that, man. I'm all thrown off. Saturday night, 4 o'clock, beginning. We will be joined by, per usual, Kyle Wallace, Tori Lowe. Gabe Neitzel will join us as well on the program. Beginning at 4 o'clock, 620 WTMJ. Actually, it starts 94.5 ESPN Wisconsin, but ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube. And then we will join 620 WTMJ, 100.5 ESPN Madison, because the Bucks play Saturday night. Perfect. So we will join in progress on those stations. But we'll be live on YouTube and 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee throughout. Leading you up to kickoff, a ton of guests, Mark Chmura, Gary Ellerson, Jason Wilde, of course, Rob Demovsky. Who am I forgetting? Brian Bulaga, Brad Nortman, the whole crew will join us, getting you ready for Packers 49ers. Big one coming up on Saturday night in prime time. National television, 8 teams remaining. Jordan Love, 49ers. I like our chances coming up Saturday night. So join us. Get ready for it with Green Bay Game Day. All right, joining us now in the Everlight Solar Studio. He is the producer of Wilde and Tausch on ESPN Wisconsin. He is my boss. He is Jesse Nelson.
I thought you wanted me to do a Mark Tauscher impression while I was in here all day, so I go, Mark Tauscher here on Mr. Irrelevant.
So I didn't reveal that Mark Tauscher was scheduled to appear.
Well, I mean,
So you spoiled that one.
I guess I could do that even without revealing that information. I could just do my Tausch impression. You could say Mark Tauscher on the show and see how long we can go before anybody figures it out.
Well, you are aware this is a visual show.
It is. I did promote my appearance, saying it is my favorite afternoon TV show that I get to appear on today. I'm very excited about
What
that.
other afternoon TV shows do you get to appear on?
None.
Great.
I mean, I'll take it. I guess.
Would I like to
It's a
be on
ringing
The Price
endorsement.
is Right? Would I like to be
Not an
on like
afternoon show.
a bunch of? In some markets, it is.
No, I don't think so. California would be on at like 9 a.m.
Well, it's not synchronized everywhere.
Oh, it's not?
No, like,
Oh, 'cause
don't you know
morning
how
news.
any of those game shows, like Jeopardy? At one point,
Wait, are
Jeopardy
you going
aired
to tell
on.
me The Price is Right is pre-recorded?
Not only is The Price is Right pre-recorded, but it's distributed the way that all shows are distributed. Like Jeopardy can air on the CBS affiliate in one market in Wisconsin, and then it could air on the NBC affiliate at a different time on a
Wait,
different.
really?
Yeah, like Jeopardy doesn't air at the same time
Or on the same network?
No.
I never knew that.
Yeah, like at one point Jeopardy was on NBC in Milwaukee, and it was on like the ABC in Green Bay or something like that. It was, that's
Dude,
how it
I
works.
definitely thought all those shows were just on the same network. Like I thought that was part of the similar like that the dramas in the sports
no, it's
rights.
a highest bidder kind of Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, all that
But Wheel
stuff.
of Fortune and Jeopardy are always on back to back.
Not
Or are there markets where they're on at different stations?
they're on at different times.
Shut up.
Yeah.
This
Green
is
Bay
real?
market. I think it was CBS
Yeah.
in Green Bay
I think
had
that's
both
right.
of them.
Yeah, at one,
they have
like,
both of them, yeah.
In the heart of the Ken Jennings run on Jeopardy, which you may not have even been born when Ken Jennings was making his run on Jeopardy. I was dialed into that thing at 3:30 in the afternoon
Ken Jennings story for
every
you.
day. Great, can't wait to hear it. And then, but Wheel of Fortune wasn't on until 6:30 at night. It was totally different slate of events going on. But 3:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, Mom says, "Hey, you want to go golfing this?" I say, "I can't. Got to see if Ken wins 56 in a row."
Yeah, that's fair. So Ken Jennings, obviously the GOAT of Jeopardy. James Holzhauer beat him in the tournament of the Tournament of the Goats a couple of years back.
He's so good they made him the host.
Yeah, and he's great as the
They
host. I've really
retired him
enjoyed
and said, "You have to be the host of the show now." That's how good he was.
And he's good. I know Aaron Rodgers was upset about that, but that's beside the point. So Ken Jennings, obviously Jeopardy is what type of game show?
Quiz show, trivia.
There's the word I was looking
Okay.
for. And you often make fun of me for something that goes on annually in where I went to college, Stevens Point. What goes on in Stevens Point, Jesse?
The world's best, largest, longest, best well-run trivia contest.
World's largest trivia contest.
That's the one.
And do you know who once attended said trivia contest?
No. You got the GOAT to participate in the Stevens Point trivia?
There is a chapter in Ken Jennings' book about the Stevens Point World's Largest Trivia Contest.
Shut up.
I'm dead serious.
Were you the one to talk to him, or was this like
this was years before me. It was shortly after his run.
Well, that's less fun.
It was shortly after his run as the champion, and he got invited out, and he stayed at Oz. Jim Oliva, who was formerly the writer of the contest, he went out the same year as me, but he wrote the contest for like 45 years, and he stayed with Jim, and he played all 56 hours worth. He pulled all-nighters. He learned about Stevens Point, and he played the entire contest, and he did not place.
Well, that seems like it's a bad trivia contest. If Ken Jennings isn't winning your trivia contest.
It is incredibly difficult. Some questions are easy, but there's 8 questions an hour.
There's no way that Jeopardy can't get rid of Ken Jennings for 75 shows in a row, but the Stevens Point 56-hour trivia marathon, the dude doesn't even finish top 10.
The thing is, people operate in teams, and I don't think Ken was playing with a team.
Well, why should he?
That part's fair.
He won 75 straight shows flying solo.
He was like LeBron James on the Cavs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. He
fair.
doesn't need teammates. That dude's going to get to the finals just on his own.
Who needs the Anderson Varejao of trivia?
Teammates are slowing that guy down.
Yeah, no, that's an absolutely fair point. All right, that is not the derailment I expected we would take here as Jesse Nelson joins us on Mr. Relevant. You had a take yesterday.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Or is this me being Tausch again? Or is this
No, you.
Okay.
I'm talking about you.
All right, let's hear it.
We do a social feature that I mentioned earlier on ESPN Madison Social every week called Who Won the Weekend? Mm-hmm. You were asked which NFC quarterback that won this weekend is the best. Mm-hmm. You answered Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Which implies Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback than Jordan Love.
No, it doesn't. It says who won the weekend and who had the most impressive win this weekend.
But that wasn't the question.
Which NFC quarterback won the weekend was the question posed to me abruptly, I may add, as we were sitting in a studio and we suddenly all got crashed in all together.
Baker Mayfield did not score 48
And off
points.
the cuff, sometimes that's the best way to answer questions because it's just off the cuff, your gut instinct. That's usually what you feel strongest about.
Sure.
And when I think back on the playoff weekend and the wins that some of the quarterbacks got, C.J. Stroud, I think, has a great argument to say who won the weekend. Now, if we're limiting it to the NFC quarterbacks and who won the weekend, Jared Goff's performance against the Rams, nice revenge win, but, I mean, Stafford's got a Super Bowl title. The Lions have higher aspirations than just beating the Rams and getting to the divisional round, the way that the season's gone and now the way that the bracket is shaken out.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, amazing performance against the Cowboys. We all know that. We spent an entire 48-hour cycle celebrating how great that win was for Jordan Love against the Cowboys on Sunday. But when you look at what Baker Mayfield did, not just against the Packers a few weeks ago, but the guy has played for the Panthers, the Rams, the Browns. Who am I missing there before he got to the Buccaneers?
Rams? Did you say the Rams?
Yeah, there was.
Rams,
I think
Panthers,
there was
Browns?
someone else I thought he made a pit stop with. But the journey that his career has taken him on after being a number 1 overall pick and just the rock bottom fall from grace to having to fight for a job and just signing on and starting for the Rams spontaneously in a week. A team that won 4, 5, 6 games max last year. I forget what the Rams record was, but
I do want to throw out he wore number 17 for the Rams. Now wearing number 17 is Puka Nacua. I just want to say maybe that gave him some
potentially
oomph in his rookie year. Anyway, go on.
But for where Baker was leading the Browns to the playoffs a few years ago and that huge meteoric rise for the Cleveland Browns, and then how it came crashing down and he's scrapping just to get any opportunity. That dude revitalized not only his career but his legacy by winning a game against the defending NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night, putting up the numbers that he did, which were just as good as what Jordan Love put up on Sunday afternoon. But because he beat a team that was struggling in the Eagles as opposed to the team that many expected to play for the Super Bowl in the Cowboys, it's not credited as a great enough win. But Baker Mayfield has a chance to put the NFC South champion, which the NFC South was a laughingstock all season long. It was, who's the best of the worst? Who's the greatest loser out of this division that's going to be the sacrificial lamb for the Cowboys to go beat in the wild card? Well, look how that shook out. Cowboys won the East. Buccaneers hosted the struggling Eagles. They got a chance to go to Detroit, a team that hasn't proven they can win anything in the playoffs outside of last Sunday night. They could play in an NFC championship game. They could host an NFC championship game.
I just want to point out how history tends to repeat itself, Jesse. I want to bring you back to the 2010 playoffs. Packers were the last team in, 6th seed in the NFC. They go on the road week 1, beat the 3 seed, they move on, right? Lowest seed in the playoffs. Also that weekend, the other NFC game was the 4th-seeded Seattle Seahawks, who won, I think they were 7-8-1, taking on a good Saints team as a 5 seed.
Beast mode.
Beast Quake. That was that game where Marshawn Lynch has his amazing run, right? So the worst team record-wise that makes it into the playoffs was the NFC South champion. They win a game at home. Packers win as the lowest seed, and we have total chaos in the NFC bracket. Here we are again, Packers lowest seed, Tampa Bay, worst division champion, upset win over the reigning NFC champion. I'm just saying, man, history repeats itself.
I see what you're going for here.
It's big snowstorm too. I talked about that on Monday. I don't know if you saw that bit.
I did. It's different though. I mean, first of all, there's a 7 seed now. There's only one team that gets a bye. Like there's I would say let this thing live on its own right now, because what we've seen from the Green Bay Packers to this juncture in the playoffs and the run at the end of the season has been incredible. For Jordan Love in his first season to get to where this team is now, playing the 49ers, and some fans realistically believing that if the Packers go out to Santa Clara, take the ball first, and go put 3 points on the board, they have a legitimate chance to upset one of the best teams with the easiest paths to a Super Bowl that any team has ever had. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that we think that that could even happen, that a portion of people could even think that that could happen, is an incredible place for the Green Bay Packers to be.
Yeah, I would fully agree with that. I mean, it's absurd what they've been able to accomplish and the turnaround in which they've had. And we've talked, obviously, about that across our stations all week. It's absurd.
Does anybody remember, like, how old were you when Rodgers took over as quarterback?
I was 10.
Yeah, so, yeah. Like, were you football conscious at that point?
Oh, big time, yeah.
Okay, so do you remember how you felt when the Packers made the playoffs? And I'm not talking about 2010, the Super Bowl run. The 2009 Arizona.
I cried after that game. It's heartbreaking.
You're so soft.
It's not surprising.
So I was in a stranger's basement. Okay, I should probably rephrase that.
Please.
So I was with my best buddy Adam and his parents, and they had friends who were friends of friends or something. We went to this random basement. It was awesome. It was a beautiful house, and I somehow tagged along. So we were on like these swivelly chairs before swivelly chairs were popular, and I ended up crying. What was this? It was 51.
When do you think swivelly chairs got popular?
Within the last 5 years.
What? What are you talking about, swivelly chairs?
So like circular chairs that like 2 people can fit on that spin, like in your living room. Those things have only been huge for like 5 years. Everybody has one now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you? You know what I'm referring to?
Like a little merry-go-round, like they have on
it's like
recess
it's
ground?
like a half circle. It's like a half circle with a circular cushion, and then the chair has like the ability to pivot. Is this not making sense to you guys?
No.
Okay. I could draw it, I guess.
Please do.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So
like a half moon, like a crescent.
So like I'm gonna draw it like if you're staring at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it kind of looks like this.
I feel like that's not gonna give us the full effect here.
And we'll put wheels under it.
Yeah.
And it spins.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks like this. Kind of looks like this. I don't know if that does it justice. Yeah, that pen looks really good. It's a really good drawing.
You drew a coffee mug.
Yeah, that's fair. I really did. So anyway, I was on a swivelly chair, and I was watching this on a projector. Want to know how bad it's burned into my brain? 51-45 was the final score.
Yeah, I think most Packers fans could tell you that. The reason I bring this up was not for swivelly chairs or watching the game in someone's basement as a 10-year-old.
No idea what the name was. I broke a face that day also.
The reason I bring it up is I remember where I was. I was watching it at my friend's parents' house as well. Dave Stanislawski, and we were watching the game there. Now, at the time, I had relinquished my Packer fandom because I thought it was foolish to move on from Brett Favre at the time that they did, thinking they should reach the NFC Championship game, all that stuff.
Hang on.
Yeah, we got to pause.
Okay.
We got to pause, yeah.
Okay.
I am getting torn up by Packer fans for even suggesting that after the 30 years of hell as a Cowboys fan, I might be done. This is insane to me that I didn't realize that you just fully gave up on the Packers.
No, he moved with Favre. He became a Jets fan.
I followed Favre
because
I thought at the time that Ted Thompson was putting his ego in front of what was best for the team. And I thought, I'm not going to cheer for a team who has someone in place who's trying to sabotage it, thinking more about himself than the good of the team. And that's why, as a junior in high school, I said I'm going to follow my idol in Brett Favre, my favorite player since the day I was born, to go and be a quarterback for the Jets, and then of course the Vikings trip and everything that took place from that point on.
Just for the record, it's your birthday on Friday. You're going to be what, 32?
Yeah.
So he was 15 years younger than you right now. Let's just keep that in mind too.
Juvenile.
Little bit of a maturity difference.
Maturity difference. Would you stay in a relationship where there's 30 years of emotional abuse?
I don't blame that guy one bit.
But the answer's no, but I think that's a little bit different.
The reason that I do bring that game up and the reason why I say I wasn't a fan is because I didn't feel the emotions the same way that I think many did. But I'm asking you, as someone watching in the swivelly chair in your parents' basement.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
Obviously, you cried because you were devastated they lost a hard-fought game. But for the majority of Packers fans, that is the most similar sense I feel going into a postseason that we've had to this year, where it was, okay, great. Like, this was a good turnaround season. Things are on the up and up. Aaron Rodgers leading this team, this version of the team, kind of rebuilt a little bit into this first adventure into the playoffs. Let's see how far it goes.
I can't view it that way. I view this more as 2010 because Aaron Rodgers got his first playoff win in 2010.
But there's something that has to be said to that you have to be in the playoffs once before you make your big run. The Bengals did it.
Did the Bengals make the? No, they didn't. Joe Burrow got injured. He was hurt his rookie year, didn't make the playoffs. They got a high draft pick, and then they made the Super Bowl the next year.
I thought a year or two before that they had been in as a wild card and were a one-and-done situation. I guess I can fact-check that on my own time. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks with that Marshawn Lynch team that year.
Did the Eagles make the playoffs 2 years ago?
They were in once, and they got beat by Brady and the Buccaneers.
Yeah, you're right.
The Rams, when they played the Packers and realized they needed a different quarterback.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about a team that needs to get into the playoffs and get that taste first before they make their run. The Packers in 2009 did that, and it's what set them up, I believe, for the run at the end of the regular season into the playoffs in 2010. This version of the Green Bay Packers could have done that last year had they won that game against the Lions. They could have got that taste and probably lost right away in week 1 of the playoffs. They didn't get that. Now, I think there's something to be said about the playoff atmosphere that they had in that final game against the Lions in the 2022 season at Lambeau Field that set them up for what was in store this year. But there's still a lot of young players that weren't part of that team last year that are integral parts of what this team is doing right now, Jaden Reed, among others, and they haven't had that taste yet. This is miraculous. This is awesome that they're at this point. But I don't think it's fair to hold this team to a standard that you need to expect a big playoff run because you don't know if they'll be back here again. Most teams that make Super Bowl runs have a run like this before they have a Super Bowl run. That's what I'm hoping for right now, and that's why it reminds me of 2009.
Okay, I think that's a fair case to make. If I promised you one of the following would happen, which would you choose? You lose this weekend or you lose in the Super Bowl? Which would you rather have happened this year?
I mean, you want to be in the Super Bowl. No doubt.
I agree.
Like, there's no reason at this point to want the Packers to lose at any stage. They're not getting a better draft pick. They're not firing Joe Barry, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Based on whether they lose this week or not. I think that decision's already been made.
I think he's back. After hearing LaFleur, because I said on Monday, I think you still probably have to win this weekend or hold San Francisco to like 21 for Joe Barry to be safe. After hearing Matt LaFleur, and I don't know if we have this cut because I'd love to hear it, but I don't know if we have it or not. He pretty much just said, Hunter, I don't think we have it. It's okay. He just pretty much said, like, he gave him credit, and then he said something along the lines of, if there's anybody that I trusted to right the ship, it's Joe Barry. And that part concerned me. That sentence right there concerned me. So I think he's back. But
now, let me say this to that point. Because Jason asked our fans this on Wildy and Tausch today in a poll question, and the question was, I'll pull up exactly how he worded it, but it essentially is asking, are you more worried about the Packers winning a playoff game this weekend against the 49ers or bringing Joe Barry back as the defensive coordinator? Like, would you sacrifice a win against the 49ers if it means Joe Barry's back next year?
No.
If that's the give and take that it takes. But my argument, and I think Josh DiMaggio, the producer of Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on ESPN Milwaukee, is the one who I first heard say this. If the Packers beat the Cowboys and the 49ers in back-to-back playoff games to get to the NFC Championship game,
give me Joe Barry.
Don't you want Joe Barry back? Doesn't that mean you're doing something right when it matters most? Like, who cares if you're giving up 24 to the Vikings with a third-string quarterback in October? If you're showing up in the biggest stages and you're getting these wins at this moment, he's doing it right. You want that. How many teams would beg for that from a defensive coordinator?
Dude, I totally agree with you. I think when you view what Joe Barry's been able to do each of the last 2 years, right? He averaged no team scored more than 20 points on the Packers in the last 5 games of last year. He's come through since the Panthers game on Christmas Eve this year. When his back is up against the wall, he provides his best. And that part I can get down with. It is a little bit concerning because I don't know that he's the best option on the market at this point. But if he's coming through, I'll take them. And the way that this defense has provided a punch, especially in that Dallas game, they set the tone, right? Like that game doesn't get out of the hand the way it did without Jair and without Darnell Savage and without some of the pressure they put on Dak. If they could repeat that this week, give me Joe Barry.
So here's how Jason asked the question. As much as you as a fan are enjoying the Green and Gold's playoff run, are you worried that their postseason success will lead to Matt LaFleur keeping Joe Barry? Are you worried that the postseason success will lead to keeping Joe Barry?
I'm not worried.
57% of our Wildy and Tausch, or at least our Jason Wildy fans from his Twitter account, said yes, or no, that just enjoy the ride.
Okay.
So 43%, which is closing in on half, say, yes, I worry about that.
That's interesting.
I think that's crazy.
I don't know about crazy, but I understand where they're coming from. But, yeah, I'm with you. I vote no on that.
I mean, it's hard to be a defensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. Like, the game is designed for points and offense and views and eyeballs to watch the fun. Defense isn't fun in the eyes of the public. And so the game is created with advantages for the offense to win, to succeed. For a defensive coordinator to show up on the biggest stages in the playoffs and deliver, if they were to beat the 49ers, back-to-back performances that lead a team that's totally inexperienced, the youngest in the league, to be able to get to the NFC Championship game, don't you want that person in charge the following year?
Mm-hmm. I would vote yes. I would vote yes. So we'll see. We'll see what they're able to. I mean, but would you be surprised if San Francisco put up 42 points this weekend?
No. Of course not.
Yeah, me neither. So I kind of love the I have no idea what the hell to expect part of this.
Yeah, it's house money part 2. Like, this whole run is house money.
Read my rundown.
Yeah.
Note
Tiny
3.
Hands returns.
Note 3.
Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Detroit. House money.
It's not house money.
It is.
It's not house money anymore.
Define house money.
House money means underdog mentality. That line moved again, by the way. It's back up to 9 points now.
No, that's not the definition of house money. The definition of house money is you walk into the casino, Ho Chunk Gaming Madison.
You win money, and now you have it.
You walk into Ho Chunk Gaming Madison, and the person standing at the door says, "May I take your coat? Here's $50." That's house money. The Packers have been given $50 to go and enjoy. And they are exceeding, and they are winning, and they put it in a slot, and they won big.
And they cashed out.
They're not cashing out
yet. It's their money now. They're here.
You're terrible at analogies. That's not how this works. You don't cash out in the play. You can't say, okay, we beat the Cowboys. 49ers have another bye. We're going home. We got our win. We're going to go out with a win. No, every team except one that's in the field of 14 at this stage loses their final game. The Packers most likely, based on the odds, are going to lose their final game. That doesn't mean that they're not playing with house money because it was an opportunity that was awarded to them because they happened to get on a run and get hot and play some bad teams in the final few weeks of the regular season. They probably did not deserve to be a playoff team because of the losses to the Raiders, the Broncos, the Vikings, and some other teams throughout the course of the year. The Buccaneers, although that's looking better right now. But the fact that they're here, and the fact that they took advantage of their opportunity and won last week and continue to grow as a team and are now in a situation where they get to go and try and take down Goliath on Saturday night is what makes this whole thing fun.
Yeah, whatever. You think they win?
No.
I don't either. Do I think there's a path in which they could? Of course. But 9 points is a lot. Now it's back up to 9. It was at 8 when we started the show. It's back up to 9.
Started at 10, went down to 8, now up to 9, right? I
think that's probably a close number.
The formula, I think, as different as the 49ers are for them from the Cowboys, the formula remains the same.
Yeah.
Take the ball first if you get the opportunity, or even if you get the ball first. Go down, score some points, get a stop, establish momentum early, make the 49ers and Brock Purdy doubt themselves, make them look rusty, make them question things early on. If you can get a two-score lead in the first quarter, I'll start to be a believer like I was last week. But I think that's what it's going to take, and then the 49ers are going to make a run. I mean, heck, the Cowboys put some points on the board. It was garbage time, but they put points on. They put up 32. And I know a lot of that, it's kind of a fake 32. You let them do their thing. They still put points on the board. The 49ers aren't going to go quietly and score 10 points in this game.
No.
Like, the defense is going to have to be able to bend but not break, the Joe Barry special. The offense is going to have to win this game in Santa Clara.
Yeah, no doubt. You need Jordan Love to continue. If they win this game, they're going to the Super Bowl.
I don't want to say that either because Tausch said this is the de facto NFC Championship game on Monday. I don't agree with that. That's a severe underestimation of both Tampa and Detroit.
I think Tampa's better than Detroit. I think Tampa wins this weekend.
I don't. I think Detroit wins, and I think
give me Green Bay Tampa. Give me Baker Love in the NFC Championship game. How fun is that?
Just how everyone drew it up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tampa, I think, is hot. Similarly to how Green Bay is hot here at the end of the year, Tampa's hot also, and they're believers, and that's a team that was in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. They've got a lot of players who are playoff proven, including Baker Mayfield, believe it or not. The dude was in the playoffs with the Browns a couple of years ago.
He has 2 playoff wins.
He's been on the stage. He's been on the stage. So Baker Mayfield is a guy that can lead that team. That's a proven team. Todd Bowles has been there. Defense has been there. They've got skill position players that have been in that situation and won the Super Bowl with Brady a few years ago. Don't underestimate Tampa, and Detroit is starting to feel like a team of destiny if they get to host an NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And if that place hosts that game, that city is going to go nuts. At the Tin Roof where they got the Papa Shot that I dominated a couple of years ago in Week 18 and all the other spots around Comerica Park and downtown Detroit. They'll be eating their Detroit-style pizza, and they'll be rocking on that Sunday afternoon if they're hosting an NFC Championship
Quickly
game.
define Detroit-style pizza. What is that?
Square, thick, doughy, better than Chicago style.
Well,
I can actually tell you what it is.
Did he not just explain it?
Cheese on top. Cheese on top.
So the auto plant workers would take defective oil pans and they would take them home.
Jared Ford.
And then they would make pizzas in them. And then because of the ribbing in it, the cheese would go underneath. That's why it's like a cheesy, crispy crust to the thick crust pizza. So then they made it Detroit style.
It's the best style
we
pizza.
We got to get out. But
no, we don't. It's a podcast.
I thought that was the fun part of this thing. We can just go and talk about Ken Jennings and Detroit
Don't
style
push
pizza.
me off the air.
So, hold on. Quickly, how do you know this?
I just know things.
Are you a history guy?
No, well, wait a minute.
I did Gerald Ford trivia on Wilde and Tausch. You tell me, genius.
What was your major in college?
Radio, TV, film, communications minor. My first attempt
Nothing
at college,
in history?
I wanted to be a history teacher.
I knew that was coming. You would be a good one. You'd be a good teacher. However, you have kind of a short fuse, so you might get fired.
Yeah. I'd have to do high school. It'd have to be high school.
No, high school's the worst.
Yeah, see, I agree.
You don't want the high school kids.
Yeah, but then at least I can kind of swear at them a little bit.
No, that's the 6th graders. The 6th graders, they're smart enough to be able to kind of do stuff individually, but also you're still the authoritative figure at the front of the classroom that can kind of scold them a little bit, and they're like, oh man, that guy's really in charge.
I remember my 6th grade social studies teacher, Miss Gosson. I got to miss her class for the Packers Super Bowl parade that I left in an ambulance. I've told that story before, right?
I don't know that story.
I haven't heard it on Mr. Irrelevant, but
I passed out at the Packers Super Bowl parade in 2011, and I got carried out in an ambulance.
And I think it's important to clarify with the audience.
I was 11, so I wasn't
right.
That's
drunk. An important clarification.
I was sober, but
why'd you pass out?
I don't even remember. I think I was dehydrated.
That would sound about right.
Not just excited. You weren't just excited.
That too. I watched it on a tube TV in a hospital bed. I watched the parade from there. It sucked. But so hopefully when they have a parade in a few weeks, that won't happen again.
If you had to pick right now, and you can't pick 49ers Ravens, pick a Super Bowl matchup right now.
And I can't pick 49ers
I'm
Ravens?
saying you cannot pick 49ers Ravens because the script is written, the logo's made, and that's what it's going to be.
Can I pick one of those teams?
Yeah, you can pick one of them.
I'm more confident in Baltimore than I am San Francisco. I'll go Baltimore, Tampa.
You are Buccaneers stan over here.
I've been high on Baker Mayfield all year. You made fun of me for taking Week 4 that I said Baker Mayfield was good, and he's good. He's proven it multiple times this year. He's had a really nice year.
He was really good in Lambeau.
Perfect.
Really good in Lambeau,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, perfect in Lambeau.
I was going to say Chiefs, Buccaneers. My wife's
you're high on
Yeah.
the Bucs too.
Well, my wife's into the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift stuff, so as long as I can keep her interested in the NFL, I'm taking it.
Well, we could go Chiefs Lions, Eminem versus Taylor Swift.
I would go.
Ooh,
I would actually
there we
say
go.
Chiefs Lions, and this season starts or ends the way it started.
Oh, okay,
Chiefs
that's
Lions was the opening night game. They play in the Super Bowl in
I got to
Vegas.
go back to the bar in Sun Prairie that I was at for the season opener then. Got to end the season the same way I started if that's the case. All right. Jesse Nelson on Twitter @ Jesse Nelson. Thanks, buddy.
I didn't even get to bring Dunzo out here. I brought him in here to say, uh-oh, 49ers coming to town. This is going to be a tough one Saturday night.
Turn his mic off.
Uh-oh.
Turn his mic off.
Whoa.
That was the worst thing that's ever happened to this show. And Hunter spent 15 minutes at the beginning of today's show explaining why he should quit his fandom. And now we get a Jesse Nelson clown show. What the hell happened today?
I didn't say I was going to quit it. I said I am contemplating it because the team has beat me down. There is a difference, so you need to just listen for once.
All right, fine. All right, time now as Dunzo makes an appearance on camera. It's time now for What Strouf Learned. You learn something new every day, as did I. Learned something new last night, which I think I knew, and I think we've talked about before. But, dude, it's actually getting easier to call, and that is that college basketball trap games are absolutely a thing. And I called this one from a mile away as number 11 Wisconsin went to Penn State last night and lost 87-83. Who scores 83 points in a Big Ten basketball game and loses? Like, that does, in regulation, mind you, that doesn't happen in the Big Ten. And the Badgers lost to Penn State by 87-83. It was really Penn State throughout. They had a 4-point lead at halftime. It was like a 12-point lead early on. I think it was 14-2. Wisconsin's a good basketball team. They go on the road. They score 83. Offense is good. They allow 87. That is just so unlike what Wisconsin's history is, right? Like, they hold teams to 60 points. They hold teams to 55 points. Last night they allowed 87 on the road. But the part that kind of bothered me, like, I'm all for fun. I'm all for everybody having fun. College Station had a huge snowstorm yesterday. They had a huge crowd still show up. It's the highest ranked opponent.
Don't do this.
That
I
Penn
know where
State,
you're going. Don't do
that
it.
Penn State has beaten in a long time. But is the number 11 team in the country worthy of rushing the court?
Yes, because they're college kids and they're allowed to have fun, you old man.
I'm not saying I hate it.
You're hinting at it,
I
though.
just feel
you're
like
pulling a Tausch. I'm not saying.
But I did this a couple years ago, and I forgot who Wisconsin football lost to when they were ranked like number 14 in the country. I just feel like storming the court should be reserved for top 10. And I know number 11 is literally
Really?
one spot outside. But yeah.
You were arguing that they
digit.
should be a top 10 team, so they're basically a top 10 team.
That part's fair.
Like,
That
let
part's
them
fair.
have fun.
I said, I hope everybody has fun, and I'm all for fun.
Then why are you hating on it?
I just feel like number 11's a little high to
You're
be storming
just
the court.
bitter because they lost the road game.
Yeah,
and
that's
you
fair.
want to take it out on college kids who want to have fun.
No. Have your
Yes.
fun. Have your fun.
That's what you're doing.
But the thing is with Penn State basketball fans is there's no true Penn State college student basketball fans. The people that went there just wanted to say they went in the middle of the snowstorm. And then they got to storm the court.
You don't know that.
You're right, I don't.
Those kids that are up in the front row, they could be hardcore on who is it? I don't even know who's on that roster, to be honest.
Cleary
So,
had a really
yeah.
nice game. Marcus Cleary, I think his name is. Yeah, but anyway. So that's what I learned. Trap games are real. Badgers host Indiana Friday. Hey, Marquette got a win on Monday at least. Why do they only play one game per AP poll? What's going on with Marquette? Because they lost to Seton Hall. They moved down from 7 to 11, I think it was. Then they lose to Butler, and they moved from 11 to 17. And now they had a game on Monday when the new AP poll came out, so that was their first game as number 17. I think they play Saturday, so they get 2 games in this week. But it seems like the last 4 weeks they've only played one game per AP poll, which is strange.
Hey, I don't know. The Big East is weird ever since it basically fell apart and became private Catholic
Yeah,
schools.
that's fair. That's fair.
So I don't try to understand it anymore.
All right, I don't either. And I don't try to understand you either, so we can.
That's
agree on
probably a
that.
good idea.
Thanks to Jesse Nelson. Thanks to Hunter Vaughn. As always, we're back with you Friday. Final thoughts on Packers 49ers and all things divisional weekend. We'll take a look at all 4 games that are happening this weekend a little bit more in depth coming up on Sunday. You heard some of my picks. I'm probably going to end up picking the Packers by Friday. But right now, I feel like it's Niners. They're a good team. But can the Packers find a way to expose them? I sure hope so. We'll talk more about that on Friday, live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter beginning at 12:30 and available wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Wisconsin On Demand, wherever you get those podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate 5 stars, and make sure you're along for the ride with us 3 times every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, beginning at 12:30. Thanks to Hunter. Good to have you back, Tiny Hands. I'm Alex Strouf. This has been Mr. Irrelevant. Peace.